do it.
Okay. So just pretend like this is your
Do you
tour.
have
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is your tour group, right? And I'm not on your tour. I'm someone else. So just talk about something.
Next we'll be walking through Heaven Hall.
Here's a Koala magazine for you. Here's
No matter like what it is, just be like, if you can ignore those people, that'll be fine. Just keep walking. Oh, I didn't hear you said. Oh yeah. Just keep walking, guys. The tour will continue this way. If you guys want to participate in anything, go check out more tabling. Go back to the bookstore after the tour. You guys can feel free to do that. But we're gonna keep walking right now.
So this happens, believe it or not, which is disgusting. How would you handle it? The koala is disgusting. Have you guys seen the koala? Yeah. Don't open it. It's disgusting. Jordan.
If you could just disregard this is not a campus-sponsored newspaper.
Yep.
You can mention the daily ask.
Yep.
Okay, so that actually happened like on our tour today, and this guy.
Wait, the koala?
No, it was even worse. This guy like picked up a copy of the Daily Aztec, but the front headline was like, "Sex crimes on the rise at San Diego State."
Oh. So
like, how do you react to that?
Alessandra brought this to my attention today. So that is not worse than the koala. The koala is much worse because it's defaming people on campus and different things. Sex crimes on the rise at SDSU. This is the context I don't feel was properly set in that article. So it gave some date ranges, and I can't remember what they were, but I think it was like 07 and then 2015. And 07 was a smaller number, and 2015 was larger. Why is 2015 larger? Well, say again? No.
We talk about it more.
Yeah.
We talk about it more.
Things are
We have
reported more.
campaigns about it. People feel safer speaking up. There's a whole host of programs and initiatives around it. Let's talk, let's talk, let's talk. So men and women alike who are being assaulted or things that are happening, they're coming forward. So there's more reports. Just like our AOD. A couple years ago, those spiked. It's because we have more enforcement. We're talking about it more. So the context wasn't 100% set in that. The graphics were a bit of shock value, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? But it's an issue on college campuses, and we're addressing it. You know, and we have the Let's Talk campaign. They'll learn about that in orientation. It's something we take very, very seriously. The other thing, and you'll learn this as you're with us more, and I don't want to go full bore into this topic, but we can go into this topic more at like a Monday meeting and stuff too, but it's not oftentimes what one would think of in the movies, where it's someone jumping out from the bushes, right? Or they're lurking and waiting for someone. It's oftentimes someone that someone knows and they're acquainted with and they have class with or they have gone to a party with or they've interacted with. So, you know, interesting misnomers like the graphics they use I didn't think were representative of what we're doing on campus.
Can we talk about this at a Monday meeting?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I took the copy. There's some great resources on campus in terms of colleagues of ours that can talk about it, and you'll learn even more about it when you guys do orientation training with us. Yeah, the Aztec can be tough sometimes when you're on tour and they have a particularly like spicy front cover. And you gotta think on your feet, right? The koala is challenging because the koala is filth. And it talks about our women, it talks about our men, it has very graphic pictures, it's just disgusting. And so I think how Jordan addressed it, I think it's happened to some of you all, right? Hasn't it? So do you want to talk real quickly and then we'll go back to Alexis in 1 second.
I think exactly what Jordan said was perfect, and you can address. You don't want to ignore it. You want to say, okay, this is something that is not endorsed by our university. These are students that are expressing their right to free speech. We're public university. So I don't recommend that you read it or anything like that.
It's not our university newspaper.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. We do have a daily Aztec, so I'd like that you guys mentioned that as well. So if you're looking for something that's more endorsed by the university, and I highly recommend you go to that instead.
Yep.
And then that's your whole address station, and then you move back
And you move
on.
And you just keep on going with whatever you're talking about. Did you want?
That's what I was gonna bring up, like saying that, even though like the Koala isn't affiliated with the university, we still, students are still given the right to free speech since we are a public university.
Exactly.
So if the students do want to express themselves that way, there are avenues for them to do so, but it's not endorsed by the university.
Exactly.
When I was on tour, there was a situation where free dress was utilized by a student walking. Like her clothing was a little bit revealing on the backside, as in very revealing on the backside. And she was walking in front of our tour for the entire like performing arts plaza to the rec or to the arc. And so the tour participants were literally just staring at her butt for like 10 minutes. And it's kind of like our tour guide couldn't see that, you know, it's behind her. So it was kind of just not the best like representation of SDSU, and I didn't really know like how
I
it was
wonder
just anything
if,
for me to do.
because I know if I saw that, what would you have done if you were the tour guide and you knew that? What would you have done?
I mean, you can't really like call her out.
No, I'm not talking about verbal, but what could
Like
you have done?
walk in front of her so they see you
could
and
stop
not her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have stopped. Who cares? Do a 30-second spiel, so your tour's 2 minutes over, right? And let her keep walking. But the other thing, you bring up a really good point. Always be in tune to your tour. So if you could see their nonverbals and something funky's going on behind you, or you're about to hit something, or you know whatever it is, maybe you give a glance, and then you realize someone's a little bit scantily dressed. And, you know, we're gonna stop right here, and I'm gonna talk about blah blah blah, or something like that. You use your judgment, but yeah, that's tough because if the tour guide isn't picking up on nonverbals, and you don't always look behind you, and if you do, it's for a quick second that you're not like gonna trip over something. So Javier.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You guys will realize this when you start getting your own tours. I know I'm about to run into something way before anybody ever says anything because I see the face of, oh, is it gonna happen?
Doesn't tell me, right? So look for that though, because that's a really good. And then, but the thing that's unfortunate about that tour is they like missed probably half of what your experienced ambassador said because they were focused on other things. So, any other questions on role play before you guys get into your groups?
Yeah. I think as far as like the koala and anything like that goes, it's okay to be assertive. Like, for me, it's happened, and luckily I caught the person who had the koalas like before they started handing out. So I just said like, please don't hand it out to my tour, like in a very like assertive tone, and they didn't. So if you can stop it before it happens, that's perfect, and it's okay to be assertive, or like if they are handing out, just to be like, please stop, or something, you know. So
And then go into what Angela said,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Please do not hand that out to my tour. You keep going and you say, that's not da 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 da, all the things you said were perfect, the combo of Jordan, etc., right? But you're in charge of your tour. It's the same thing if someone hops on your tour that you know shouldn't be on your tour. This is actually a private tour today, didn't have you signed up. You know what I'm trying to say, like, they do, and then, you know, you're regulating, like, this is your tour. Yep. Either one.
Oh, okay, I was just gonna ask, like, if you do that, do you cover your mic or like turn it off?
I don't think I did. Yeah, I don't think I did. I was just like,
I would.
yeah, I don't think I did. Just
Okay.
because.
That's when you yell. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, like, what does the koala look like? I've never seen
It looks like
it.
a
Will I
normal
know it's
You would know.
like,
You'll
You'll
know.
know. Yeah, you know. It's not the Aztec. It's not the Daily Aztec, and it's someone just in plain dress clothes passing out a newspaper, like a newspaper, black ink.
They usually
Folded
will
like-
say like, the koala, take the koala. Like
Yeah.
they're very open about what it is.
Yeah, Alana.
I was just gonna say, if that happens on tour too, or like anything else that kind of disruptive is going on campus, always come back to the office and tell like Frankie, Michelle, or Alessandra at the desk so that the rest of the tours that go out that day, or that week, if it's gonna be like for the whole week, we all know.
Yep. So important, and I'm so glad you thought of that because there's so much we can do. So then we tell 115 tour, hey, FYI, they're prepared, right? No reason to be surprised. Same thing, I get a call upstairs. There's going to be a protest at 1 o'clock. Okay, great. Do we need to rearrange tour, or is there no way we can rearrange tour and you all are prepared of what to say? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it was last week, Monday morning tour, we all went out,
And then the ambassadors that didn't go out met us in the ARC and just let us know ahead of time that there was a protest happening in the Union. So we had to take a different route and go around it. And it ended up being fine. I think only one person ended up going like through the Union, but they were able to address like same thing, like public university, freedom of speech, they can do that. So
Right.
it happens.
Yep.
So I know like, I don't, well, last year I know there was a lot of like the really religious people on campus. And I know a lot of times they have like massive signs that can
Yes.
be a little much.
Yes.
So like in that case, because like they're not, probably not students, so how do we address that?
It's a public university and it's free speech.
Okay.
And some of those signs, there's been some other folks too though, like very graphic pictures and such. So we try to alert each other of those things too. There was some like baby pictures of, you know, like abortions and that kind of thing before. And so we'll try to skirt the tour around it, not because we're afraid of free speech, but it's, that's what they will remember about SDSU kind of thing. Does that make sense? So try to making the tour a very positive experience about the university. Yeah.
I think not that I'm an experience, but I think it's also important to remember that like what happens in the world will transcend into what happens on campus. So just to be aware of what's going on, like in the world and what's happening politically, like obviously we're gonna have a lot of people like talking about politics right now and things like that. And like you as a student, you know where those things kind of happen and kind of like to like think about what kind of route you'll take alternatively. Just because it's not like we don't know where they're gonna be. Like we know like where the protests happen or where like, you know, people are typically like exercising their free speech. I mean,
Right. And free speech isn't a bad thing, and student activism certainly isn't a bad thing, and we're not afraid of it, but there's certain things when we don't know if a protest is gonna get out of hand, we wouldn't wanna walk a tour into harm's way, so to speak. So we're always gonna try to keep each other in the loop like that. Kat, maybe last comment with you.
Also, Vanessa just brought this up to me yesterday that she was taking groups in the bookstore, and the bookstore has like political shirts that they're putting out right now. There's, I don't know if you guys seen them, like elephants and donkeys, and like people weren't even concerned about what she was saying. They were just like oh, like the university is like putting out all this political stuff. So just be aware of like exactly what, I don't know who said that, what's happening, because it'll probably be translated onto.
Yep. So, couple things, as you get ready, we're gonna meet with the TIs briefly so they can touch base with you on tour, and they're gonna pass out your quizzes as well. But a couple things as you start to think about next week and your third practice. Natalie's gonna send a follow-up email, but remember, this is for you. So you're gonna dictate how it goes. If you wanna hold on to your tour script or you wanna give it to your TI, that's totally fine. You're dictating this. We'll dictate the final assessment, right? That's gonna be the real deal. But this is for you. This is your practice. You're going out with Natalie, you can say, Natalie, tell me everything, you know, that I'm doing quirky, or tell me what points I need to polish on. However it's gonna work for you to feel supported. So you're really dictating to us how you want the third practice to go. Additionally, Natalie is in the process. She has revised a document that we used last year, and I'm proofing it, but it's called a tour checklist. And it's another document that you can use in combination with the script to support giving a tour. So it's gonna basically have the tour script in order, but it's bulleted. It's not a narrative, it's bullets. And I think it was Alana who said earlier, you also don't just wanna give the bullets, right? Do you get it? You don't wanna just give the script and you don't wanna